All right, guys, here's the deal. Coffee has been lying to you. It promises you energy, but it leaves you jittery, crashing, and wondering why you're staring at your ceiling at midnight. This is where Mudwater comes in. It's a coffee alternative. It's smooth, steady, and packed with all the good stuff. Cacao, chai, lion's mane, chaga, reishi, turmeric, and cinnamon. You want a metaphor? It's like coffee went on a yoga retreat and came back chill and ditched the caffeine chaos. I've been there. Groggy mornings, brain fog, 3 p.m. slumps. But Mudwater flipped the script. It gives you clean energy without the crash. Plus no sugar, no junk. Just clean, natural ingredients, guys, that work. Put a scoop in a cup, mix it around with some water, you're good to go. And here's the deal. My listeners get free shipping, a free rechargeable frother, and I'm going to help you save up to 43%. Head to Mudwater, MUDWTR.com. Use my code Chael, and you can say goodbye to caffeine jitters forever. Because life's too short for bad coffee decisions. And remember, if you don't change something this year, it's not a new year, it's just another year. I want you to have a new year and a better you. Go to Mudwater. Use my promo code. You're welcome. Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya have made up. Now, what do you think about that? I mean, you got New Zealand and Australia, not for nothing. Those two definitely could help one another. And they are not on a path to compete again. I just want to know what you think about it. Like, when I first saw it, I must tell you, I thought it was pretty cool. But I also don't really know much about the actual being mad with the other guy. I don't really know a lot about that. There's a thing with teammates where you would never fight a friend. I don't know. I just don't know about that. I came up as a wrestler. And I transitioned him. He was still going to jiu-jitsu tournaments to this day. And you could very easily end up with your teammate. You could end up in the finals with him, or you could end up in the first round with him. And I understand that wrestling versus fighting is very different, but is it? I mean, you're just competing, and here's the rules, and I'm just sharing that with you. Like, I really don't know a lot about it. When guys started saying they want to fight with their teammates, I will just tell you it was a big surprise for me. My whole life, this wasn't my choice. I didn't grow up and this guy didn't mean something to me. I would take a bullet for that guy. I love that guy as much as anyone. But to say that I want to compete with him, it just wasn't an option. I'll give you a great example, but in junior high. Junior high was the first organized through school competitions I ever got to be part of. Played football and wrestled. And I only had classmates. So to see who was going to get the starting spot on the football team, I had to beat out or attempt to beat out other classmates. And the same thing happened in wrestling. The spot wasn't just mine. Other guys that weighed this. So now you're not just taking on a friend. You're not just taking on a teammate. You're not just taking on a classmate. You're taking on all three. So people say I would never fight a teammate. I don't begrudge you for that. I admire that. I'm just sharing with you I can't relate to that. Taking on a classmate, taking on a friend, taking on a teammate, all hard things. In school, we had to do all three. I get to college. Roommate. Your roommate, who you take a bullet for and who would take a bullet for you, is your weight. You not only go to the competition to wrestle each other, and your parents here and your parents here, and the coaches stay out of it, and just let whatever happens. Whoever has more points when time runs out gets to pursue their dream, which happens to be the same one that's yours. It's not only that. He's calling to you before he goes out. Hey, you about ready? Hey, we got to go. Oh, they jump in the same car. They ride to the arena. Occasionally they'll warm up together, which is a little bit weird, quite frankly. But then they do the match, and then they get in that same car and drive back home and start figuring out what they're going to have for dinner. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. I've never really got the concept, just because I've never seen it. My dad used to be a sponsor of Matt Lindland when Matt had his Olympic dream. And there's a very big tournament It was called the Sun-Kissed Tournament. It happened at Arizona State, and it started the wrestling season. And it was as hard as the U.S. Open. It was as hard as the trials. All the right guys showed up to Sun-Kissed and couldn't wait. Their chance to wrestle. And Matt Lindland had seen the brackets, and I had not. And I was 18 or 19. And Matt was out of college. He was pursuing the Olympics, and Matt was there like coaching me. And my dad helped to get him there, helped to pay and get him there. And Matt had seen the brackets, and he comes up to me, and he starts warming up with me. 2-on-1s, he pushing and duck under and pushing and pulling. And partway through, he says, "You haven't seen the bracket yet, have you?" As he just keeps moving. We don't even stop. And I'm talking, "No, did they put him up somewhere? Where are they?" He said, "Yeah, I actually just caught him." He said, "You got a pretty hard one first round." Pretty soon they announce, clear the mats, and they start calling guys to the mat. And Matt and I were like the first one up on this mat. Matt Lindland versus Chael Sonnen. When he told me I've got a pretty hard one first round, I had him. So now not only do I have him, I also have no coach. He is my coach. So there's something in a wrestling match where if you're ahead by 10 points, they'll stop the match. It's called a technical fall. But if you don't follow wrestling, something you'll be able to relate to, think of the mercy rule. They used to have a mercy rule in Little League. If you're playing Little League and you get enough points ahead, they call it they stop the game. So that nobody has to be humiliated. We just stop the game. That's 10 points in 1995 when this wrestling match happened. It was 10 points. Matt's ahead by 9. All Matt needs to do is score 1 point. They will mercy rule this and stop the match. Matt is on top of me. We are in something called parterre. Matt comes to a side lift, lifts me all the way up. Now, he could have just taken me through for 2, or if he wanted to lift me a little bit higher, he could have taken me through for 3. Or if he wanted to lift me, turn my body around, and throw me feet to back, he could get 5, but there would be no reason to get 5. He only needs 1. He's my friend, he's my coach, and my father is the one that paid to get him there. He threw me for 5. A 10-0 is the maximum you can beat a guy. He beat me 14-0. He beat me 4 points further than the rules of the sport even allow. And afterwards, he told me why. And he was coaching me. He was coaching me right then. And he was telling me because there are no deals. There are no friendships. There are no teammates. From 9 to 5. And that was supposed to be an expression meaning during working hours. He said, you got no friends from 9 to 5. Anyone you're going to see is going to run into and try to use your friendship. Try to use that as a way of weakening you. It's not real. Anyone that enters, anyone that steps on the mat must be treated the same. It was this lesson, and I appreciated that lesson so much. And down the road, you've got Izzy, and he and are making up, right? I want to say Alex, but so, which by the way is another one that could happen. But for now, we got Izzy and Rob. I'm just wondering how you feel about that, because let me juxtapose it. That's a good way to go through life. There's no reason to stay bitter at somebody, but I don't love it when all rivalries do go. I mean, I do feel an insincerity. I remember a night, Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, and they set the world on fire, and Mike Tyson grabbed the microphone in the ring and said all the things I said about this man. I did not mean them. They were just promotion. I respect this man. Mike Tyson did that. And I remember sitting at home saying, then give me my money back. That is fraud. There is no retail product in America that you can sell under a false pretense. And Mike Tyson sold us that fight and then laughed at us. He laughed at us all right there as a way of clearing his own conscience. And I've never liked that. I thought that was very, very dishonest. Now, I do understand throughout time you can make up. I understand that 1996 Olympic Games were in Atlanta. Muhammad Ali was the last one to grab the torch, and he's the one that actually lit the Olympic flame. And Joe Frazier was at home watching him, and Joe didn't even communicate all that great back then. Well, it wasn't like Joe could move around any better than Muhammad, but he didn't even communicate that great. And he said, I saw him up there. I saw him lighting that flame. If I could have got to him, I'd have pushed him in and watched him burn. And eventually Joe Frazier passed, and eventually Muhammad Ali passed. And they never made right on that comment from 1996. They never tried. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I like a rivalry. Not everybody has to make up. I'm just wondering, what do you guys think? And let's use Robert Whittaker and Izzy specifically. When you see them together, being buddies, knowing what foes they were, knowing the damage that Robert trained to do to Izzy, and what damage Izzy trained to do to Robert, taking of the money of the belt, take everything from that guy, can they now sit down and be friends? And if so, do you like that?